Hello and welcome, everybody. I am busy today. I've got Claudia Gallegos here with me live. She is an Akashic Records life coach. So, Claudia, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Tanya. Thank you for the invitation to your wonderful podcast.
Yeah,
It's very much needed at these new times that we're living.
yes, definitely. Definitely. I am really excited about this conversation. Before we go into talking about the Akashic Records, can you share with us a little bit about your background and what has led you to become an Akashic Record life coach?
Well, I started working with the Akashic Records because a friend of mine was training and she needed guinea pigs, let's call it, to practice. And I was one of her guinea pigs. And suddenly I fine tuned with my own intuition of what I was receiving randomly, and it gave some shape and reason and how to access. So since then, that was a big change in my life, because all the perception, all the things that I received were easy to access, and I was able to control it. I also learned that people has to be willing to receive it, right? So.
Yeah.
It,
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
it's a wonderful tool that we have to access our own record of life for our soul, not in throughout lives. So that is the most interesting thing.
How did your life change after coming across this work?
Well, the first thing is that I started um, trusting my own intuition, and I was able to direct it. Direct it in the sense of, oh, this is what is happening. This is what I'm receiving. This is what I am intervening as a human. I was able to discern that. I was able to also access when I need or I want, and not being something like like a shooting star that sometimes happens and sometimes does not happen. So to me it was a big change, also because I started against my teachers uh, advice. I started uh, having going on through my work day, for example, um, with my records open.
Mhm.
So the my work is substantial instead of being blah. Those days that you're blah and nothing flows and everything is difficult. So I know that I have that tool to work with me and to focus my attention. Um, it also helped me to have deeper conversations. And then with time, it helped me to start working with clients and seeing the results with the clients. And that was very rewarding, even for my ego. But sometimes we need that because that is what, as humans, helps us to continue doing the work, right? That we see how we can help other people as part of our mission in this life. So it's beautiful.
Mhm. Why do your teachers not recommend to leave the records open?
Because they're a little more traditional. And then in a private conversation with one of the senior practitioners, one day I said, the problem is that I don't feel that my records ever close. And she was like, whoa, mine either. And it was like,
Oh,
oh,
oh, how funny. Interesting.
at last. someone is telling me what is happening with me, right? Because I always felt the records, um, once I learned how to open them, I know they are there and they're easy access. If I want to be more focused and more attentive, I do my ritual to open them. It's a prayer that I
Mm-hmm.
was taught. But now I know that the prayer is a focusing tool,
Mm-hmm.
right? I focus on something I want. I put an intent. Um, I'd say that intent is intention in action. So I put the intent to connect through that prayer. And sometimes I don't need the prayer. Sometimes I just, put my intent to connect and I connect. But it taught me how to focus,
Mm-hmm.
right? And how to let it flow.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And trust that it's going to come. Can I
I'm.
tell you something funny?
Yeah.
At the beginning, I was like, I would start to do my prayer, and halfway through, I was panicking, thinking it's not going to work. I'm not going to receive anything. This is a failure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I started laughing. I said, like, shut up, because it's part of our part of us wants to change, and another part doesn't want to change.
Oh, the self-doubt.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I said, shush.
Yeah.
It
Yeah. Yeah.
was funny.
That self-doubt, it really is such a block so many things from our life when we continuously question or just doubt that anything that we do is actually working, or if we're on the right path, or on and on and on and on. It's just the ego, right? It's just fear of, yeah, not getting something right, fear of failure.
Part is ego, and part is what we were taught. We were taught to, stay in the line, don't make waves, don't talk about those things. Those are things, who can if it's not proven by science, it doesn't exist. That's all wives' tales, and it's not like that.
Hmm.
Because what we are is a soul having a human physical experience. So it's not that we don't know what we're talking about. We know what we're talking about.
Hmm.
And we all know, we all have that intuition, but it has been suppressed to the point in some people that they cannot see it. It's like they cannot feel it. It's completely mute. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it's not there.
Mm.
It means that you have to reconnect with that. You have to retune with yourself, with your mission, you know?
Yeah. Can I ask you, is there a difference between the term Akashic Records versus, let's say, the quantum field?
I find it's exactly the same thing.
Okay, I was
Um,
curious. I mean, yeah, it's interesting. I feel
let's
like
say that
you,
quantum field is the word that is used in science. But the Akashic field is the world of infinite possibilities,
mm,
right?
mm,
I always had this, since I was very young, I had this image of, imagine a spider web, but in multi dimensions,
mm,
right?
mhm,
So all these points connecting in the enormity of this galaxy and other galaxies and other galaxies,
mm,
right? And everything is interconnected. So it's not something that we can we can deny. Now, science, there are some scientists that are working on this, and they relate the quantum field to the Akashic records,
Mm.
right? There's many things that were in the Vedic texts and in the old spiritual books that now have, um, let's say, a scientific name.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean that they discovered that
Right.
or they invented that. It was there all the way. The only thing was that they had, science had to catch up with something that is, right? Same thing is happening with some, um, in medicine. We all talk about the medications, but the medications in reality started with plants, synthesization of plants. So it's the same process. We think that we discover something new, and in reality, we're renaming something to make it more accessible or more modern to the times. But the quantum field is, I could say that I access the quantum field with absolute comfort.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. So, what are the specific, when someone comes to you, um, what kind of things do you address when you work with somebody? Is it very individualized in terms of, um, I mean, I imagine the Akashic records can be accessed for anything, any aspect of life. So when you work with people one on one, is it pretty much like, hey, what do you want to work on? Like,
Exactly,
let's just.
exactly. Is Many people come with one question. The Akashic records, or to access the quantum field or the Akashic records, you have to have you have to have curiosity, and the curiosity is expressed through a question, right? You have to have an intention of knowing something that you don't know,
Mhm.
right? But it doesn't have to be like, let's see what you you come up with.
Yeah, sure.
Is well, I have these kinds of relationships and they keep on repeating, right? Or
Mhm.
I have this relationship with my mother that is difficult for whatever reason.
Mhm.
So we start there, and then from there the records take you to something that happened at a certain point, or a loss of stress. It starts threading back to threading into the future,
Mhm.
right? Because when you go back and you understand what happened, right?
Mhm.
There are some. We work with some energetic points in the hands that are also, marma points, or Chinese energetic points that also reflect emotions and different aspects of our lives. Um, and with that information, you can access a different future.
Mhm.
Why? Because you're disconnecting with things that are not serving anymore, right?
Mhm.
And you can make better choices because you can make choices from a more conscious point of view.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
have worked with some clients that had a um, complete failure in loving relationships, but complete.
Mhm.
And with the records, they started seeing that yes, you can heal certain aspects, that you encounter certain people as a lesson, so you can uh, learn and not repeat. But learning most of the times is for yourself, not for the other person, right? The Akashic Records focus, or at least how I focus it, is to work on your evolution. to be the expression your soul planned for this life. And it's it's an intense work, but it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting. And there's tears. The records with me have a lot of humor, because sometimes subjects are, you know, difficult to process, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they sometimes in the middle of something that is really tense, they make a joke to help you understand and at the same time move forward, right?
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Release the tension,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fun. I love it
Interesting. Well, I'm
more
curious,
and more.
can we ask the Akashic Record some questions?
Of course,
Just like you suggested. I don't know if there's,
yes.
should I just ask you now, or is there a certain,
You can ask. You can ask. I
uh,
usually when I do interviews,
yeah,
I open the records, and I ask that the message that they want to communicate comes through me, right? So they are collaborating in this expression.
okay. I'm very curious about the future of money. And I'm curious what the Akashic Records has to say about that because, there's all this talk about, um, cash being obsolete eventually, and then you have cryptocurrency, and then there's also just the economic turmoil we've been going through. Is there any message that the Akashic Records has for the collective when it comes to what is the future of money and economy? Are there alternatives to something, a possible different future or different concept of money?
The first thing they were saying is that, as you were asking the question, I usually start receiving something. The first thing they're saying is that money, as humans know it, is going to change fundamentally, and it's not even something we know,
Mm,
right? Um, but the most interesting part is that the economies um, will be changing because we will be changing how we live, right? We will live in, they say smaller, like in smaller groups and smaller towns, more in a complete collaboration and cooperation.
interesting.
There's they're saying that there is there is a dystopian view that wants to be imposed, but
Mm,
there's a lot of people that want to live, that really want to live better, right?
mm-hmm,
And the dystopian is not living better,
right.
is living like very much disconnected from the earth, the other beings, being the earth, plants, animals, like our environment, our fellow humans. It's like the vision is that we will change so much in a short time how we live and how we cooperate,
Mm,
that is the main change, and that will change the way of the money too.
yeah, interesting.
They never show me cryptocurrency, not money as we know it.
Interesting. Yeah.
They talk to me, they're mentioning cooperation, 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 cooperation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like there will be a change in how we relate to
Yeah.
others.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more fun than we expect,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
Um, they're saying that in this process, there will be lots of people that don't want to do that, that they want to be in the comfort of the known. And they will leave. They will leave,
Hmm.
like leave,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
To other planes of existence.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Mm.
But we are already in that process, but it's a short process.
Yeah. What does the records have to say about artificial intelligence with suddenly there's like suddenly we have AI and it's just everywhere, right? Just in the last year, it's just like in our face. And now everybody's talking about how it's going to make life so much easier and better and blah, blah, blah. I don't know what to think. On one hand, I can see where it's helpful. I don't have to work so hard maybe on certain things, but what are the, but I can also see the other reality, like you say, like, oh, more dystopian, more disconnected. What do the records have to say?
Um, they're saying that the first thing they're saying is a tool, right? That we have been using um, assisted reality for some while,
Mm.
but we didn't have a name for it. Um, they're saying that um, with a little humor, right? They're saying, well, what do you think Google is, right?
All
It is what they mean is that it has it has been living here with us for some while.
right. Yeah.
Now there's like an explosion. Like with every explosion, it's going to go up, and then it's going to calm down. Um, and they're saying as long as we don't lose focus, and we think that artificial intelligence is reality, because we came to live here. Oh, this is interesting. We came to live here our own movie, right? It's our own movie, not a movie that is imposed. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is very interesting, more interesting even. Um, they're saying that the artificial intelligence, so long we use it as a tool, is very good for us, right? But if we let that that non-real, that artificial intelligence to rule our life, there is when we lose the mission of our soul.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like we have to keep connected with the mission of our soul, because we have a plan. Each of us have a different plan to come here to this life, to do something specific, to evolve in a certain way, to live certain experiences, right? So when we have those experiences, is that our soul can evolve and can go to the next stage or to a different stage.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying no next. They're saying they're showing me like everything is now, right? But we tune to different channels,
Mm-hmm.
right? So artificial intelligence is like living the life of others if you let artificial intelligence run your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like your neighbor telling you what to do with your life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you can have a conversation with your neighbor, and you can exchange information. And if you have, I don't know, you have coffee and your neighbor has milk, you can have, you can exchange things. But it doesn't mean that your neighbor is going to tell you how to live.
Mm.
Yeah, we have to keep the sovereignty of our soul at all times. Yes, and keep it as a tool,
Mm-hmm.
not panic. It's a tool. It's like, we panic when the computers were coming up, where we panic and computers are going to run our life. And then we panic when we had an iPod in our pocket. There's no enjoyment of music. And
Mm,
then it was not true. We discovered that, well, maybe in the morning I feel like listening to classical music, but in the afternoon, rock and roll.
mhm,
And it was okay.
mm,
And then we panic when we panic every time that there's a change that is radical. There's something that is disrupting our peaceful being, right? And then we realize that, well, no, it's okay. There's a boom, and then it goes down, it comes down, and then we go to the next step. Um, Even when things are accelerating,
mm,
right? A year ago, people were very concerned about. It was almost. This is Claudia saying, right?
yeah.
A year ago, we humans felt like, this is the end of the world. This AI is going to come
Mhm,
home and tell us how to live. And guess what? It was not like that. Then we discovered, like, oh, we can program the coffee maker to start at a certain time. That is AI.
mhm, mhm,
This is assisted intelligence. Or we are looking for, I don't know, some information on Google. Instead of having to read 35 or 3 pages of links, we have, well, in this link you can find this and this one here and this one here. Is this interesting for you? Yes or no? Okay, next.
mm, mhm,
And then we continue our research. Yeah, it's it's a tool, right?
mhm,
Then we have to humans we as humans have to decide what to do with it. Yeah, but our soul has a mission here. Our soul, when the mission is not going to stop because there's artificial intelligence.
mm,
Our mission is not going to stop because we have because there's our mission is not going to stop, period, until we are complete with our mission. We are not going to leave, right? With artificial intelligence, with flying cars, or whatever it is,
mm, mhm,
right? When I was a child, my favorite cartoon was the Jetsons, right? And I was absolutely convinced that by 20, my life would be like that, right? I
uh-huh,
was I was absolutely convinced that that was a reality. It was coming. It was imminent, but it didn't come. But it didn't change the mission of my soul, right? There's many things that we imagine that would be, that doesn't change the mission of your soul, but it's coming now with certain things that we saw in the Jetsons that were made in the 60s,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
So all these evolutions are coming to help us as humans to grow, to go to the next step, to uh, have new experiences, new ways of relating, to live in different ways, to live better, right?
mhm,
Because if you're doing research and you have to read 30 books, and then in each book there's 3 pages or 2 pages or 5 pages that are going to be useful, right? Now you have a way of looking for that without having to read 30 books,
mhm,
right? It's the same panic that came when Google came around. Google came around, and wow, this is the end of the.
mm, mhm,
No, it was an easier way to look into encyclopedia,
mhm,
right? I'm using something that an example that we all use. We all use Google to do search, right? So I was the records present this as an opportunity to redirect our time and our attention to the development of our experience as humans.
Mm.
Oh, like that. Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. So when you have more time, instead of the time you use to read 30 books, of which you have a certain amount of information but not what you were looking for, so then you have that time to work on yourself, to work on your relationships, to work on your relationship with the earth, with your animals, with you know to live fully as a human,
Hmm.
right? To enjoy this experience, because this is what the records teach us, is that we are here to learn, but to have a good time.
Mm.
There's no Judeo-Christian guilt or suffering makes you better. There's nothing of that. There's nothing of that. The suffering is a choice. Things happen. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not that good, and sometimes it's a little painful because we have to learn from something, and it's okay too. But the attachment of what is happening is the suffering, and that's a choice. So the plan is for every single experience that we have to minimize the choice of suffering, and more as a learning curve. It's like, okay, I'm learning from this. What is the next learning,
Mm.
right? I read this ABC book. Well, now I can read a phrase. Now, then you can read a paragraph, and then you can read a short book, and then you can. So it's a process, but we have to give ourselves the opportunity to do it. Not think that everything is going to be like instant. Even the things we lack, even the things we don't have, that is part of our soul's choice. But that is hard to hear. Why
Mm.
our
Hmm.
soul would choose to, be struggling with well-being or health or money or love.
Hmm.
The question is why you chose that. What do you have to learn? So then
Hmm.
the records help you. Well, you chose this is what you wanted to do, this is how you wanted um to learn. uh so the experience changes, right? The attachment to the things that are happening are more like, oh, this is fun, I'm learning here, right? And you choose how you're engaging. You get stressed, you would say, oh, okay, I'm learning that if I get so stressed, it's not so helpful because I cannot evolve. My energy gets blocked, and I get all tense, and nothing flows. I'm not in connection. So
Hmm.
there you have some ways in which um, the records are always assisting us. They're always present. They're fully present. They're fully at our service. We use it or we don't use it, but they are at our service. So it's our choice to use it,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, that's beautiful. That makes a lot of sense. I like how you or how the records explain that, of just how every time there's some kind of technological advancement, there is that fear of like, oh no, how's it going to change everything?
Mm-hmm.
But at the core, it's like the human spirit um, has a destiny, right? Like, and so um, it's that no matter what kind of technological advancement or leap in knowledge or whatever, it's like maintaining that sovereignty um,
It's
along the way.
maintain, it's maintaining the sovereignty. They're showing me that people panic when the combustion cars came around,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
We were not there
Right.
in the late 1800s, but people panic. People thought that it was the end of, it was the end, and what would we do with horses, and why do we have to have it was panic, and everybody was very concerned. I think it's a good example they're showing.
Mm-hmm.
um, and well, then they said, oh wow, we don't have to feed the horse, we can go further, we can put more weight, um, you know you can love the horse. We can go for a horse ride instead of having to use the horse to work. You can go and go in the field and have and look at the horizon and look at the sunset,
Mm-hmm.
and instead of having to use the horse to work, right? And then the car had other benefits, and every time they're saying throughout humanity, um, humans panic when something changes. So, and they're saying, and then they discover that it's okay, and their lives are much better. So, so, um, it's like they're making faces and everything. Like I feel it and I hear it, and they show me pictures, like scenes of things, and they're like, okay, and then you panic, and then you discover that your life is better. So that is important to know,
Mm-hmm.
that our lives are better. Not everything that is happening is bad. Our choices with the things we have are not good,
Mm-hmm.
because we are diverting from who we are, at our core, right? We're letting, we're allowing our sovereignty to be put aside. So some special interest is in the center stage, and that is not how it has to be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I heard a long time ago something from the Dalai Lama, and he was saying that, um, if God, if they were asking where is the center of the universe, and he did this: I
Mm-hmm.
am the center of the universe, because I am living my own experience, and Tanya is living her own experience. So everything that happens, you understand it, you process it, you live it, you cry, but it's from your own experience.
That's true.
We can have compassion and understanding, and we can relate, but we don't know what is the experience of the other person. So we have to keep in mind that this is my little universe, right? That is connected to Tanya's universe, and my friend's universe, and my family's universe. And this this network is what makes my soul experience expand.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not that I am in solo mission and throughout the universe. It's not like that.
Right.
Everything is interconnected. Everything that is happening in our network is connected. It's not a flat network. It's not a vertical network. It's a network that interconnects all the time, all the time in multi dimensions, more dimensions that we can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is interconnected, and it's interconnected in my house, in my town, in my state, in my country, in my planet, in the other planets. Is everything is interconnected,
Mm-hmm.
and everything is affecting what is happening. Is the time we live is the time for all of us. It's not a separate time. Um, it's not a separate experience, right? In our network, in a way, Tanya and Claudia had connected. So our networks connected for a reason, because we are bringing, you are bringing awareness of a new consciousness, of a new way of living,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're both working on that with our personal method. But the more we connect, the more we expand.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
We expand our individual experience, and we expand the experience of whoever is listening or watching the podcast, and then the friends that receive a comment, right? Energetically, we are all expanding. So I find this is one of the most exciting times to live.
Yeah, without a doubt. I love that. Yes.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
this has
yeah.
been so good. And so, I mean, there's so much there. I just, yeah, have enjoyed immensely so much of what you've been sharing, and the clarity with which you speak about all these things. I mean, the way you can communicate with the Akashic Records, it's really lovely, really, uh, what's the word? I just have a sense of just that it all comes from love, essentially,
Yes,
all of it.
yes. You know,
So,
when some one day I was quite young, and one day I woke up, and um, my first thought was bond. Love is the bond of the universe.
mm,
It's like it's that energy that runs through. Is the love that keep us, expanding and moving and enjoying this experience.
hmm,
Our soul has, now we have this experience, but how many others we can have,
mm,
you know
yeah,
in how expansive, how how much we can impact the lives of others with small gestures
yeah,
on things,
yeah,
you know
beautiful.
so the records are always collaborating with this conversation.
Yeah.
I would say a lot. Like a lot.
Yeah, yeah, amazing, amazing.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Claudia, how can people reach you if they want to work with you?
If they want to work with me, they can use my website. My is my name, Claudia M Gallegos.com. And that is the best way. You have there my email. You have my all the information. I am on Instagram and TikTok, also under the Art of a Good Life, and that is where you can find me.
Excellent.
Mostly that.
Beautiful.
So
Well, I want to thank you so much for being here with me and with the audience, um, and if those of you, thank you for being live, and if you're watching the replay, let us know that you're watching the replay. If you have questions for Claudia, you can type in the comments or message her directly, obviously. And thank you for such a beautiful conversation, Claudia.
thank you, Tanya. Well, an absolute pleasure.
Yeah. All right. Much love, everyone.
Much love. Bye.